Hello. Welcome to the number fourth, I think, stream of building Stripe backend with Darklang. Um, what we're gonna look today at is how do we create a customer. So we had everything, the payment intent based on our CMS. So let's kind of recap this function. So we get the program details for the CMS that um, I have for the project that I'm using. We grab the information like the price and the name from the CMS, and then we create the payment intent with Stripe, which then is being used on the checkout page, and that checkout page allows us to put a credit card there and actually get the payment working. And you can see payment data in the wrong account. Okay. Apparently, I logged into my own account for some reason, because I have two different accounts on Stripe. So when it stops bugging me with bugs, thanks Stripe. Well, you saw it last time if you were here. So what we're gonna do today is we're gonna continue this exploration, but we're gonna add a customer, because in our system we need to be able to know when the customers actually have access to specific items. So we sell them meditation audios, and whenever their item is sold, we add them to the store. So we could use database in the Darklang, but I'm thinking more that at this stage, at least, as far as my experience go with the Darklang, the data store is not yet ready for production use, and our data for the users is really not the place to try it out. If we lose the data about orders of our customers, it's going to be quite tricky to recover. So we're going to need to go through all the Stripe orders to do that. So what I'm going to do instead for now is I'm just going to attach the customer, and then this should be quite a short stream because of that. But the one thing we need from this customer attachment is when the customer comes back, we need to identify them. So when they say buy a new program, how do we know who they are? So for that we have an email address. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with creating just a REPL. And in this REPL, we're going to go and do we're going to first create a Stripe URL, because we're going to need this for sure anyway. And I think I had it one of my, this guy. Just gonna copy this. I think those names are sometimes confusing, so maybe we'll call this something more meaningful. So this is really create, what do we call it? Create customer. So instead of payment intents, we're gonna go to the customer. And what I like about the REPL is that you can try things out here without worrying that it's not gonna work in the real one, and then you just copy the whole code in the real one and it just works. So body, I think we don't need anything to just create a new customer, so we're just gonna give empty dictionaries everywhere, and that's probably not gonna fly. You didn't provide an API key, right? It's because we have this special function called Stripe secret key, and if we look at this guy, what it does, it creates this authorization thing. So this is our secret, not so secret key. You can see here. What I want to actually do is make this whole bearer stuff. So I'm just going to say header prefix here. So I don't need to then do the header concatenation inside of the actual call, because it's going to be the same exact call, so it doesn't make sense to do it twice. And I'm just gonna say plus plus and add this guy here, and now, oops, did not intend to do this. Now I'm gonna say header prefix. This is our test key, so feel free to use it. So instead of doing all this bearer stuff, now we can just remove all of this and just say Stripe URL, and that name kind of doesn't make sense anymore to me. So we're gonna call this guy instead hello dark. What is happening? You can see there's some, so this shows me like supposed to show me the headers, and it doesn't, it shows me, yeah, right, because I'm really typing the wrong thing there. Here we go. it wasn't a bug of Stripe, it was a bug of me. So Stripe secret key now has this bearer thing and our test secret key. So we can go and go back to create customer, and here we can pass, oops, authorization header, authorization, and we actually need it to be dictionary. So I'm gonna try to use just the dictionary, and if we need anything else, then we can switch to Stripe secret key. So really I want to rename this function, so let's call it Stripe auth header. And as soon as I rename it here, all the other places will be renamed automatically. I don't need to do refactoring something, it just works. At least that was my experience before. So unrecognized request, please see, so I think it's customers. Let's drag in. Okay, so we actually got the customer. So this is the customer, I believe. So if we go and look at the body, there should be an ID here. So this is an ID for customer. This is a real customer, unfortunately without the email. So what we want to put is email here, where we'll provide the customer email, and that email will come from, for now we just, oops, press the wrong button. So if you just want to create this, like if you wonder how I do this in Dark, is you press enter here, and then you get a variable on the top. So email, and I'm just going to specify my email, because why not? So confusingly, and that, like, you need to kind of do this hover thing, so it binds it together, otherwise it doesn't do it automatically. So you can't really do in front. So as you see, it tells us again this invalid request. If you saw the previous video, there was we did this thing with setting the content type like that. So we actually merged the form content type. As you can see, this is going to be the same for all the requests. So should I really do something like this every time, or maybe we'll just move all of this into the Stripe headers? So we'll make this guy into header. Let's call this header, auth header. Okay, actually just call this auth header, and we don't need this variable then. Okay, and now we have this, I don't know what to call this. This is basically what we return. So this is our auth header, and we're just merging it with this, and the trace return authorization of the content type. So now we can call the Stripe headers, and we need to make sure that whenever we use the headers, we just put the Stripe headers instead. So we had removed this variable, now it's saying us to us that it is incomplete. So this is where it gets a bit confusing. So as soon as you get this incomplete, you can't type here. I don't know what this issue is. We actually got a Stack Overflow there for some reason. Even if I refresh, I don't believe it's going to let me type. Let's see. So maybe now I can type Stripe. Nope. So you can't type here. I don't know why I cannot type, but so far what I found, the only way is to kind of like you go remove everything, and that's, yeah, that's annoying, I know. And then you type it again. So the Dark team maybe tell me what I'm doing wrong. But yeah, here I can do Stripe. Why is it still called Stripe secret key? I thought I renamed this. Stripe auth headers. Oh, Stripe headers actually. Just gonna call them Stripe headers. And if we go here, we got Stripe headers. If we go to the REPL, we now can just do Stripe headers. So we're slowly starting to encapsulate the logic. One of the things that you notice now is that it didn't really work as expected, and I find that there's some certain parts, because it's still beta, you need to just avoid doing them. So for example, removing a variable like this is not a good idea. So you go and instead fix the variable. So let's say if I wanted to do this again, so let's say I wanted to remove this body variable, right? I would go and change this guy first to be like maybe body 2. So if I create like, create a new variable, for example, so let's say this is different body. Maybe I'm forming a body in the function now, or it's gonna assign it to empty thing. Now I can just type different body here, and after that, if I want to remove it, I can just go and delete the body, because as soon as I remove this variable, it does some weird stuff and everything locks down. So maybe if Dark Team watches this, or I will report to them later. Okay, so we have the customer creation function now, essentially. So what we can do is we can put this into a function, and this is easier to do than it's kind of perceived. One of the things that I've noticed is that which would be cool, I think that's maybe feedback for the Dark Team, is that this HTTP client post is an action and a request at the same time. So it's not like in languages like Elm where you can construct the HTTP request without posting it. So we can't like do request HTTP request, because what I want to do is I really want to construct it first, to tell it what it needs to have, and then after I've constructed all of this, I want to then pass it to something else. And right now Dark bundles those things together for convenience, I guess, but it's gonna make it more difficult, I think, for them in the future. So we'll see what the approach that they choose. So what I do is I just say extract function, and when I extract the function, I'm gonna call it create customer. And here's the confusing thing here. So if we want to use this email thing, if I go and I type email string here, now this is getting incomplete. It's still getting this email. If I go remove this email, then we get the email is gone from here and I cannot type. Remember this bug? So I haven't found a good way, to be honest, to do this. I think the only way I found is, so if we do this again, I'm gonna comment that. So let's say I didn't create a parameter. So I go first and I create a new parameter and I call this email2, and I make it a string. So first I will go and make email2 here, then I remove this guy when I need to remove the value first. It doesn't let me remove, and then I can go and change this to email, and it changes automatically. It's kind of a strange way to do it, but that's the only way I found so far. Okay, so just checking that it still works. We still get the customer. Now we don't have any email because we didn't pass any, right? So we can now pass my email address again there. I don't know what kind of other variable you expect me to pass. Why there's two parameters? I don't see a second parameter. That's some really weird yeah, that was strange. I think it was stuck to a different version or something. Okay, now we get the customer with the email address. So what we're gonna do now is when we create the payment intent, we need to give the customer ID already. So we need to provide this ID cus HB, and I wonder if I call this guy again. I don't know, did the customer ID change? I think it did not. So at least it's good enough to, if I change the email address, I wonder. HB7P, can't see sometimes. So let's grab the body from there, and then grab the data from there. Is this data or something? No, we'll grab the email address. Okay, not the email ID. So that's the customer ID for this guy, and then if I change and I run this again, I think it's different. To be honest, to really see this, that's where kind of Dark will usually help us, but not really. Why is it showing only one trace? So it's supposed to show both traces. I don't get it. Why it's only showing one trace in this scenario? Dark, show me more than one trace. No, it's from REPL some reason it's showing only one of them. So if I use this and I do my other email address, it's supposed to show, yeah, it changes, I can see it, but it doesn't show two different traces here. I'm not sure why this is doing this. Maybe this is only because we're using the trace. Could be, or maybe it's a bug. Could be a bug, Dark Team. So what we're gonna do is, before we create the payment intent, we can see that, okay, this customer is this. If I run it again, we have a different customer ID every time. So it's not very it's not very good to create a ton of customers with the same email addresses in our system. And so what we're gonna do is we're first gonna search for that customer. So let's create another function, and I'm just gonna copy this stuff and create a function called get customer. And copy this, and instead of doing the post, we're gonna do the get. And in the get, we're gonna use Stripe URL, and we're gonna try to see if we can find the customer. So retrieve a customer only by ID. Cool. Not cool. We can't find it by email. Okay, so we need to list all the customers, and then we can limit. Then we can find it. So get customers, and then in the query we can say email is get or post? Most likely it's a get. Okay, let's try. So email, and I'm going to search for myself. Let's see what we get. You did not provide authorization key. Yeah, for sure, I did not. Stripe headers. Let's call this guy again. Okay, so I think we found a customer, a couple of them even. To be honest, we can just see. But we did find some. So if I type something like this, then we shouldn't get any. Yeah, then the data is nothing. So what we really want is to have one customer only. In case if we have multiple customers, some weird stuff falling down from the ceiling. In case if we have multiple customers, what we want to do is we want to probably throw some kind of an error or something. But for now, what I'm going to do is just say that we have one customer, we expect one customer. We're going to grab the body from there. We're going to grab the data from there. And then we're going to grab the customer ID. Customer ID, I think. This data is... I think it's an array. Yeah. So we can do dictionary get. We need to get list first. Head. So we grab the head, and then, and as you see, we get quite a lot of URLs here, and then we grab ID from there. So that gives us a customer ID. And what I want to say here is the same thing that we did in the last one. So if I do 2 here, I can even check what's happened. So this guy fails. So let's make sure that if this guy fails, then we do something. So we can do take this function of rail, run this again. We should get nothing here. Now we can do match and say if this is nothing, which means there is no data, then we just return nothing. And if it's just, which means we have found first customer, or we can call it CAS, something like this, then we're just gonna do this CAS, and we're gonna grab, we're just gonna copy this guy. Oops. My copy skills are not good. Okay. So now we should be able to make it work. So let's run this again, the whole thing. So the trace returns And yes, I want to return just here somewhere, so I want to say just. Yeah, just return. Maybe we'll do like this, just. So if I do just and then dictionary get customer. Okay, it's a bit tricky when we do just because just doesn't. So I do just dictionary get customer and we grab the key is ID. Now it's stuck. I don't know why it's stuck, but for some reason it's stuck. So let's create the rep, like we just had now REPL. We'll try to get customer. For, as you see, I forgot the email there. So the email is the parameter. And you remember this won't work until we do this enter thing. Does the body works now? Oh yeah, okay. Okay, so that gave us an empty array, which is not what I want. It should have done, oh, that's why. So, because when we do this, right, at least I haven't figured out how to use much in a predicate, like whatever they call it, the pipe function like this. So I don't think we can pipe into much, which to me kind of feels that maybe Dark team is doing some things in terms of like making everything as function, but much is not a function, and that's why we cannot pipe through it. So I'm not sure why we cannot pipe through it, but I wish we can. That would make things way easier. And when you extract a variable, that's what happens. So you see how it goes to the wrong place? I've tried this a couple of times before and I thought they fixed it, but maybe not. So if we wrap and let, that works. So we can say that this thing is called data, or the customer data. And then now we need to say here customer data. And this is the tricky part, we cannot remove this. So the only way I found is literally take this, remove this, and push it here. Same way as like copy paste it and remove it, right? So customer data is yes, right. So we need to do list head. I was wondering why it doesn't give us the what I wanted. And we take this function off rail, and now we should get right results. So run this, we will get nothing, and that means the trace will return nothing. If I say that this is actually not hard-coded here and we just use the body, I wonder if I copy pasted this from another place, do we still have the same problem there? Okay, so that found some customer, and that actually gave us an ID there, which is good. So let's just check the create customer. No, that seems fine. So now in here in REPL, we can try to find the customer, and that didn't work. Why didn't it work? Why didn't it work? I did not expect that. The trace returns incomplete. Where are you incomplete? This is incomplete for some reason. What's incomplete? The incomplete came from here. Click play. Okay. Now it's saved. Something is bugged out here, clearly. Maybe refresh the whole thing. Okay, let's try to do this. Get customer ID. Keeps insisting that it's incomplete, and I don't get why it's incomplete, to be honest. Because, so we took this function of rail, it's fine. We want this just thing here, so. Not sure why it's giving us incomplete. It's supposed to be okay. So let's just kind of keep going and see what happens. So, so what we want to do is we want to either create a customer or we want to get the ID. And after we did this, we want to get. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna create a post thing here, customers, and this is gonna simply call get customer ID, pass the request.body.email. So because we cannot type this, we're just gonna do body request.body, and then we're gonna try to grab email from there. So dictionary get body ID. And now we need to make sure that we match on this. So we're gonna wrap this in a match. And if we get something, so if we got a customer ID here, then we're gonna return this. Easy. If we didn't get, if we got nothing, I can stop this guy. Oh yeah. So we've been streaming for quite a while. Did not notice that. So eventually, when these things, let me pause it again for another 15 minutes. So I'm giving it another 15 minutes for us to finish. So if it's nothing, then we create the customer, and here's where I made a mistake because we really need to put get the email from here. So we'll grab the email. Oops. And let's make this guy a variable. So extract variable, we can call this the email. So we try to get by email, and then we try to, if we didn't get it, we're going to create a customer instead. So let's see if we can call this. So I'm going to just open pour. I saw pour somewhere here. I know I have like a ton of stuff open. And we have a payment intent, so I can just duplicate this. And instead of payment, we're going to use customers, and we need to pass there the email address. So let's change this guy to be email, and it's, let me just remove those actually. Yeah, it's not a valid JSON number, I know. Just type email, and then we type my email. And we see what happens. So we should get a customer ID. In the other scenario, the expected code was incomplete. Okay. So, this thing again. So that's still incomplete. Wonder why. So we try to get the email. We got the email. We try to get click to execute the function again. So this get customer by ID, something is wrong with it, and I cannot tell what. Literally in a scenario like this, sometimes the easiest thing is to do is to copy this guy, paste it again, and sometimes it still doesn't work. So let's just write it down again. So HTTP, I don't know what was wrong there. So Stripe URL, the query is empty. The headers are from, actually no, the query is not empty. The query is the body, which really is the query. And then the headers is Stripe headers. Can we get this? Okay, this works. So if we try to do an HTTP call, and we call this, we should get an exception, not incomplete. Incomplete, your code needs to return value in the last expression. Which expression? That's a really confusing thing. I think because we're trying to do just here, so we're trying to match, and it doesn't know what we're trying to do with this. So we get data, we get the body, then we get the data other way around. Body and then the data, and then we try to get the first element. So we get nothing. The trace returns URL nothing because take the function of rail, Now the trace returns nothing. Good. So now when we go here, the trace returns incomplete. So what did the customer click the execute function? Where should I click? Nothing. Okay. That means that we should call create customer. Yay! Okay. Oh wait, that's something wrong. Email is invalid. So why is this invalid email? It's from here, I believe. Why would the email be invalid? Oh yeah, it is invalid indeed. That's a good validation stripe, thanks. Yay, so this gave us the customer. I think, let's just check that this actually went here. Yes, so it did not, the code was not executed, showing it nicely to us in the blue that this code was not executed. I don't know what was wrong with this get customer ID, to be honest. Something strange there. And this trace is kind of confusing because sometimes you kind of need to click, like you see now it disappeared, this blue highlighting, so it defeats me sometimes, the highlighting here. So what we can check now is the second scenario when we pass something like, I'll use my third email, don't ask how many emails I have, and that should give us the customer ID 2, and that didn't. So we have inconsistent thing there because this guy does actually return something else. So in here we want to grab a customer ID, and you will notice something interesting now. So I have this dictionary get body, that looks familiar, right? Get data dictionary get ID, and what did I do wrong? There's no data. Okay, so this part is kind of the same, so we might look at I think it's showing highlighting that's executing it or something. Let's try again. So max pub 2. Okay, so this is the new customer, and if I type this, so if I call this twice, I should get the same customer ID. Okay, awesome. So now we have a functionality which allows us to pass the email address there, create a customer based on the email address, or grab the existing one from Stripe, and then we will use that customer ID to pass it to the set payment intents. So let's see, we have 10 minutes left. Let's see if I can quickly do this. And where's this thing? It was in SRC. Uploads. I think it was checkout Stripe something. Stripe card payment code dot. It's not even under source control. I know I'm just using the example one, so I'm going to put it under proper source control. npm start. Go faster. Okay, so we need to modify this first. So the client.js right now just passes the purchase, and what we want to pass now is we want to pass, yes. Okay, at least I can type. Last time we couldn't type. So customer, and I'm gonna go with customer ID. And now we need to fetch this guy. That's where it starts getting a bit complicated, because we have this fetch function here and this purchase the global object, so fun times. And we need the intent, which is actually need to wait for that fetch to complete first. So let's just do it quickly. So customers. Do you know you can write functions like this? Oh, that's not a function. Okay. So this fetch is executing on the page load, so we need to kind of either create a function and then do it on load, or do something funky. So let's just do it then. If you haven't seen JavaScript, then it's kind of like a mess like this sometimes when we're trying to hack something quickly together. Whoa, lots of code. So I'm gonna, instead of doing this, I'm gonna say that this is a function get payment intent equals thing. So then we can just say then get payment intent. So that's, I think, is easier. So in our fetch we want to pass the email address, but where do we get the email from? That's where it starts getting fun, because now we need to have so we're going to do document query selector, and we're going to find something called email. So we're going to create a new form there, and this is going to happen only on submit. So value, no. When I use document query selector, I like almost always forget how to do that. So inner text, inner HTML. I think node value might be it. Node value. So let's just try. And so we're gonna do document.query selector customer details form, and we're gonna say add event listener on submit. Hope it's called on submit. We're gonna do this, and this whole fetch thing should be called inside there. And now we just get the email address, which we pass const email equals. So very stupid and very fast kind of, but maybe that works. Hey, so we pass the email address here, then we'll say then we call the get payment intent, where we're supposed to have, so we need to call JSON first on this before we call the then. So the then res.json, and then we need to call the then, and I think it just returns to us a string, so that should be enough actually. And it's not a JSON actually. Why am I doing JSON here? Let's see if we can pass get payment intent. And so we're just gonna call args console.log args and see what we got passed there. And 44 check out. I didn't add the actual form there, so we need to add the form. So we have a payment form. Maybe we can actually do like not diff. We can do, so when they say pay, they need to, we just add a new field here, kind of like input type equals text, name equals email, ID equals email, and it's required. And we can say placeholder your email to access content. So let's see what happens. Okay, that one looks nice. So we're gonna put this here, and it has this pay locked because it's waiting for us to type this. So but that's where it's kind of starts getting interesting, because essentially we need to now either wait until they type and then have it like in a separate form. So maybe we cannot do this in the same form. Oops. So it's gonna have a separate form. So form ID equals customer details form, I believe. I call the class for some reason. I'm gonna put this thing back. So that should be working. It's kind of shitty layout, but let's just try. So if I search for this, somehow I didn't have a button here. So input type equals submit. Submit. So it's kind of like a shitty user experience, to be honest, because they need to press submit button twice. I wonder how this works, because we didn't specify. So we'll just check here. It calls the intents anyway, so let's just make sure that we don't call the intents. Oh, right. So I created a function, but I forgot to actually put the curly braces. great. So even here where the fetch finishes, and where all the then finish, that's a lot of code. Put this guy, because otherwise fetch is still being called. Okay, so now fetch is not called, so we can type an email address, press submit. Yes, I forgot to do one thing, which is to say e prevent default. Otherwise, it's just press submit. So submit. That didn't work because I think it's submit here. Customer details form. So we can see in here, and I know we have only 2 minutes left, so I'm gonna be. We can see event listeners, and we have a submit listener. Okay. Submit. So we're getting args brain uploads course. So it tried to call course request on the thing because we're trying to make a browser request, and it failed miserably with it. So that's a good question. Can we do course with Dark? I believe we can. I haven't tried this before, so let's see. Out of the box course settings. Here we go. Today, it accepts the request from localhost as long as you have special header authentication. So maybe if we launch localhost, let's just change the port from 4242 to port 3000. I'll just hack it like this. So where is it? 3000. Okay, so if we try this, we're still getting chorus. It says that it's supposed to be able to receive from port, but looks like it's not. Maybe it's only, you can see in the request here, what does it do? So it tries to call customers. It tries to do the get with the customers, and it doesn't work because there's no course request. Oops, this thing reminded me that we're supposed to finish. So okay, so haven't really finished. I'm wondering, it's cool it does service workers automatically. So I'm wondering what is the kind of, yeah, we need to find an approach. I haven't done course. They apparently say that you can do, you can add pre-flight via options handler. So we need to set up all of this, and yeah, right. So or alternatively, I should be able to, if we host this checkout page in the Darklang itself, then there would not be course. So I can actually put the HTML page here and just serve it from there. So that's probably what we're gonna do, so that then we kind of have everything in one place and don't need to flip around. But that's gonna be in the next stream, because that's been an hour so far. So we at least have the customer working, so we can create a customer, and we can, where's this? We can create a customer and also finds the customer for that existing email. And after, like in the next stream, we'll have a look at how to make this play nicely with the form, which I'm probably gonna put as a static assets here. So you will see how to actually do things like deploying a static HTML applications, or React for that matter. You can do the same way. Okay, so thank you for watching. If you have any questions, ask them on a YouTube channel or on our Twitch TV. And